Hello everyone and welcome to another What I Think review and part one of a mega review. So recently you might have seen that I reviewed this, the Friends and Foe of the 13th Doctor's box set featuring Yaz Khan, Ryan Sinclair and the Jadoon Trooper. Now this was sent to me by Character Options via Evolution PR for the purposes of reviewing it in advance of the range coming out in July. However, this time there were only a very limited number of samples available, so rather than sending just one or two people lots of different sets, they decided to expand it by sending lots of different people just one set, which was understandable, and actually it makes quite good sense because it means that there are more reviews available for people before the range comes out. However, after posting my review, I was contacted by Al Jawar himself, and a very important distinction I would like to make there is that he contacted me and asked me which set I had received from Evolution PR. Obviously I said I'd got the Friends and Foe of the 13th Doctor set, I've just posted my review when he contacted me, and I was very pleased with the set. He then asked me if I would like to review the rest of the figures from the range, and of course I said yes. So, here we have the rest of the range for 2020 coming out in July. So this is part one of a mega review where I'm going to be looking over each of these sets in 4 different videos. I'm going to try and upload them all at the same time, but there might be an hour's difference between the uploads. So this is part one. Please go and check out the other parts. For part one, I'm going to be looking at the TARDIS set. Part two is going to be the history of the Daleks set. Part 3 is going to be looking at the Companions of the 4th Doctor set, and then Part 4 is going to be looking at the Claws of Axos set before giving my final thoughts of an overall look at the range. For those interested, I'm not going to be reviewing the Friends and Foe of the 13th Doctor set again because I have already reviewed this, so please go and check this one out instead of seeing it in this range because it won't be encompassed in it because, as I said, I've already reviewed it. But today we're going to be looking at the War Games TARDIS set. So here we have our Second Doctor and TARDIS set from the War Games. It looks very nice, I have to say. The box, inside the box, I love the display. The TARDIS itself actually has a slightly grey quality to it, almost black and white, which is certainly interesting. Obviously on the side of the box we've got a picture of the set, we've got Second Doctor with the TARDIS. Obviously the TARDIS has got a new lamp, the Second Doctor's got some different details. On the back we have some information about the set itself, the story that it's come from. It's always nice to see information about the story on the back because obviously I know for a fact that a lot of newer series fans who might collect these figures might not have seen the classic series episodes, which is fine, everyone's entitled to watch what they want. But it's nice that they've got this bit of information for the benefit of those who haven't seen the episodes. And obviously we've got the look from the outside. So yes, very nicely presented box. I like the side panel view of the packaging they've got on these. But obviously what we really want to look at is what's inside the box. So let's take a look. So just very quickly before we move on to the figures, this is the interior of the box, very nicely presented. So we've got obviously the War Chief's central command, whatever you want to call it, from the War Games, with all the Sid Rats, side rats in the background, which is lovely to see. I certainly think that if Character Options had, so just while it's here I'm going to mention it, if Character Options so had the inclination, I can understand why, because I don't think it would sell very well, I have to admit. But if they ever did decide to do it, a lovely set would be great to see, would be a side rat with a War Chief figure. While I was unboxing it, it just made me think of that as a TARDIS set. It would certainly be an interesting one to see. As I said, I don't know how well it would sell though, so I can understand if they didn't do it, but I just thought I'd mention it whilst I'm reviewing these because the background made me think of it. But it's a very nice interior display for the box. So here we have the Doctor and the TARDIS. So they both look very, very good. The TARDIS is certainly very well designed. I know that some people have made mention about how the sign doesn't look as cream as it does on the promo preview images, but this one I have to say it does actually look quite cream, and I think it's more that it's not so much ever meant to be cream. It is a very light cream, but the wash over the top of the police box signs to darken it makes it look a bit more cream than it actually is, but the detailing on it is very nice. It's a lovely overall colour. The nice thing about this is it is a very dark, it isn't grey, it is a very, very greyish blue, but it's nice because it does have a bit of a black and white quality to it, which is lovely to see. Obviously the doors open as well, so that's all the standard. We've got the new flatter base on it, which is always nice to see. But the only thing I do notice with the flatter base is, as you can see, this door is sitting nice and flush to the base, but when the spring-loaded one pushes against it, it does ever so slightly begin to bow out because there's no lip. Which I don't think is a real issue, but it is just one of those things that is worth pointing out, because I get the feeling that perhaps over time, especially if they, if the plastic starts to warp in heat and things like that, I can see that pushing out a little bit slightly. I did notice it on some of the past ones, and I have to say, whilst I am pointing that out, it is something that is not as prominent as it was on previous ones. Obviously as well, we've got a new lamp on top. So the lamp itself, for those wondering, it is basically a whole new lamp piece which is fitted into the top of the existing base. But it's a really nice addition to see, because obviously it gives it that much more sort of square lamp look that the set has has had in the past. The prop has had in the past. Sorry. So it's a lovely, nice addition to see. Obviously, it's got the flatter roof, but again, the addition of a new lamp is always a nice extra. So let's get a look at the figure itself. So here we have the Second Doctor figure. It's a lovely looking figure, very nicely detailed. One con, I will just get this out of the way straight away, that I have noticed that this falls prey to a con that this is not particular to this set, because this is something that I've noticed that all Second Doctors have, is he is very unsteady on his feet. He does have, his centre of gravity does mean he leans back quite a lot. So if you literally, I mean, if I, like, all I've got to do is blow him and he falls over. That is an issue, I think, with all Second Doctor figures. So that is just one thing I feel like I should point out, because it is something that would be nice to see rectified in future. Obviously it would mean having to make, some new parts, but it's one of those things that it is a problem I've noticed in the past. So for the sake of highlighting it now, to say it would be nice to see that fixed in future, I will. But I have to say, that is the only con I can see with this figure. The rest of it is absolutely fantastic. So overall, obviously we've got the Second Doctor in his War Games outfit. His coat has had a little bit of weathering on it to make him look a bit more dirty and grimy, as have his legs. And noticeably on his knee, he's had painted in a tear on his knee, which is very nice to see. Just again, that little bit of paint variation. But the one thing that I will say as a customizer, that I'm not going to do it myself, because I don't like to customize my my samples. But the nice thing about this is what it does leave customizers open to do is where the rip is, it does leave almost a little bit of a template. So if you wanted to sculpt on a little bit of overlap of the fabric on both sides, you would actually be able to make it the rip look a little bit 3D. So obviously I know many people it would be nice if the character options had done that themselves, but I appreciate that would have been basically having to make 2 whole new leg parts just to do the rip in the knee. The painting version I think is fine. I have no problems with that. I really don't see the issue. But it was just something, again, as a customizer I thought of and I noticed, I thought was well pointed out. I know early on it was mentioned that as well as his ripped knee, he had a pocket rip. But I have to say, I can't see that. So I think that is something which has been erroneously reported. But just as a figure, it's fantastic. It's great to see a Second Doctor figure again, because obviously the last time we saw the Androgun one, which was very nice, but obviously he did have orange eyebrows. He was a little bit strange looking. So to have a standard Second Doctor figure is certainly very very nice. And overall, to have a Second Doctor TARDIS set is fantastic, because it's something that lots of people have wanted to see. But mainly it is also something that we have never had before, so I certainly think it's going to get people very excited. Some of you might remember that about a year ago I posted, very jokingly, I did a mock-up of a Second Doctor box from the faceless ones, and I thought I'd made it very clear with what I'd said that it was a joke, but people took it seriously, and then it started appearing on forums, on Facebook pages, saying, look, this is coming, and it very quickly people realised that it was fake. But it was the excitement of people seeing that, which I think is certainly great to see, because it means that people really will be excited about this set. I know that, as I said at the beginning of this review, a lot of people who watch who might not necessarily have watched the classic stories, it doesn't mean that they won't buy the figures. And from what I've seen, this is certainly going to be one that is going to excite people a lot. So I'm very pleased to see this, and I think it's gonna be one that's going to fly off the shelves very quickly. But that brings to a close another What I Think review, and part 1, the end of part 1 of my mega review. Please go and check out parts 2, 3 and 4 for my reviews of the other sets in this year's range. I hope you all enjoyed this video. Like, favorite, subscribe, share. It really helps me out a lot. Be sure to check out the description below for a link to my Patreon. I'm doing my very first figure animation and you can get involved. There's exclusive content and rewards for those who do so, and funding my Patreon in any way gets your name at the end of my videos. I salute you all, and I will see you with another video very soon.